You're listening to the Computer Repair Academy podcast, a show that's your go-to podcast for easy tech fixes, pro tricks, computer repair tips, and everything you need to keep your computer running smoothly. So if you're ready to upgrade your tech game, then let's dive in.
Welcome back to another episode of the Computer Repair Academy podcast. I'm Jeremy, your guide to all things tech, here to help you navigate the often murky waters of PC security. That's right, today we're going to dive deep into how to protect your computer from the digital dark side. I'm talking viruses, malware, hackers, phishing scams, and all those things that make you want to throw your computer out the window and retreat to a tech-free island. But before you start packing your bags for that island getaway, I've got some simple, effective tips and tricks to keep your PC safe and secure. And don't worry, we'll have a little fun along the way because, let's face it, security can be a bit of a dry topic. But not today. By the end of this episode, you'll be a security-savvy tech ninja, ready to take on whatever the internet throws your way. So why should we care about PC security? I mean, can't we just trust that the universe, karma, or maybe even your cousin Bobby's super secure password, yes, I'm talking about password 123, will keep us safe? So, wrong! Hackers are like digital ninjas, silent, sneaky, and way too good at their jobs. And believe me, the last thing you want is someone sneaking into your computer, getting their hands on your personal data, and making your digital life about as comfortable as an old Windows 98 era screen. Well, here's why you should care. Personal information. If you have any important data, photos, bank info, that novel you've been working on for 7 years, hackers want it. Money. Hackers love making money off you. Ransomware can lock up your files and make you pay for them like you're renting a very expensive hostage situation. Embarrassment. If someone gets into your email or social media, the email you sent your boss at 3 a.m. about your cat's secret ninja training could go public. And folks, no one wants that. So when we talk about PC security, we're really talking about layers of protection. Think of it like an onion. Each layer adds another level of defense against the bad guys. Or, if you prefer a more fun analogy, it's like building a castle with moats, walls, and archers on the towers. The more layers you have, the harder it is for intruders to get in. So, Jeremy, are we building castles now? Well, not exactly, but close enough. The first and most obvious layer is your antivirus software. You wouldn't walk into a swarm of mosquitoes without bug spray, right? Same goes for the internet. If you're online without antivirus protection, you're basically asking for trouble. Whether it's free or paid, make sure you've got a good antivirus program running in the background. Some solid options include Bitdefender, Malwarebytes, and Sophos Home. They help block malware, spyware, and viruses that try to sneak onto your system. Because the last thing you want is a virus named Fuzzy Bunny crashing your workday. But antivirus isn't enough on its own. You also want a firewall. Now, before you picture actual flames coming out of your PC, let me clarify. This firewall is just software that helps filter traffic coming into and out of your computer. Think of it as a bouncer at a club, deciding who gets in and who needs to stay outside. One decent free option is Zone Alarm. Now, most operating systems have built-in firewalls, but make sure they're enabled. A bouncer can't help you if they're asleep on the job. All right, now let's talk about one of the most important parts of PC security, passwords. Oh boy, I can already hear some of you groaning, but stick with me here. This is so important. Your password is like the key to your digital kingdom. And if you're using something like password 123 or your cat's name, well, you might as well leave the front door wide open. Look, I get it. Remembering a million different passwords is a pain. That's why people fall into the trap of reusing the same password across multiple accounts. But that's like using the same key for your car, house, and bank vault. If someone gets their hands on that key, they have access to everything. So here's what you should do. Use unique passwords for every account. Make those passwords strong. We're talking a mix of letters, numbers, and special characters. No fluffy 123, folks. And here's the secret weapon, password managers. These tools store all your passwords securely and generate strong passwords for you, so you don't have to remember anything except one master password. Great options are LastPass and Bitwarden. They're like having a digital bodyguard for your passwords. But Jeremy, what if I forget the master password? That's a good question. Write it down in a secure place, not on a sticky note attached to your computer. You want to make sure it's somewhere safe, but not easily accessible to someone snooping around. And while we're on the topic of passwords, let's talk about two-factor authentication, or 2FA. This is like adding a second lock to your front door. Even if someone guesses your password, they'll still need a code sent to your phone or email to get in. So if you haven't enabled two-factor authentication on your accounts yet, now's the time to do it. It's an easy way to add an extra layer of protection. All right, time for a little horror story to drive this home. This one is about phishing, which is when hackers try to trick you into giving them your personal information by pretending to be someone trustworthy. Think of it like a digital con artist wearing a disguise. I had a client once who fell for a classic phishing scam. They got an email that looked like it was from their bank, asking them to verify their account by clicking a link. The email looked legit, had the bank logo, professional sounding language, the whole 9 yards. So they clicked the link, entered their info, and boom, their bank account was compromised. The hackers drained thousands of dollars before they realized what happened. But Jeremy, it looked so real. And that's the thing. Phishing emails do look real. But there are always little clues if you know what to look for. Check the sender's email address closely. Often, it's a weird variation of the actual company's name. Hover over any links before clicking to see where they really lead. And never enter your sensitive information through an email link. If you're unsure, go directly to the website by typing in the URL yourself. Remember, when in doubt, don't click. It's better to be safe than, well, broke. Now let's talk about something that everyone hates, but absolutely must do, keeping your software up to date. I know, those update notifications always pop up at the most inconvenient times, right? You're in the middle of something, and suddenly Windows is like, hey, time for an update. Not now, Windows. But here's the deal. Those updates are crucial. They're not just about adding new features or changing the layout of your apps. Most of the time, they're about patching security vulnerabilities. That's a fancy way of saying there's a weak spot in the software that hackers could exploit, and the update is like reinforcing that weak spot. Take it from me, ignoring updates is like leaving your castle's back door unlocked. Hackers are constantly finding new ways to break into systems, and software companies are constantly patching those holes. So don't ignore the updates. Let them run when they pop up, or better yet, set them to install automatically. But Jeremy, it takes forever. I get it, it's a pain, but trust me, taking 10 minutes to run an update is a whole lot better than spending hours or even days recovering from a cyber attack. Speaking of attacks, here's another horror story for you. This one's about ransomware, which is exactly as bad as it sounds. Ransomware is malicious software that locks down your computer or your files, and the only way to get them back is to pay a ransom to the hacker. I had a client who got hit with ransomware, and it was a nightmare. They got an email that seemed like it was from their company's finance department, asking them to download an important security update. So they did. But it wasn't an update, it was ransomware. Their entire computer was locked down, and they got a message demanding $5,000 in Bitcoin to get their files back. $5,000 for my files? Yep. And to make things worse, they didn't have any backups. So they were stuck. Pay the ransom or lose everything. Now, paying the ransom doesn't always work because some hackers will just take the money and run, leaving your files locked. Thankfully, we managed to help them recover some of their files from an old backup, but it wasn't pretty. A few tips on how you avoid this kind of nightmare. Never download attachments or click links from unknown sources. And back up your data regularly. This is huge. If they had a good backup system in place, the ransomware would have been nothing more than a minor inconvenience. All right, let's bust some myths, quick-fire round style. Myth number 1, Macs don't get viruses. False. Macs can get viruses. It's just like thinking you're invincible because you're wearing a Hawaiian shirt. Sure, you look cool, but you're still vulnerable. Myth number 2, incognito mode keeps you totally anonymous. Nope. Incognito mode is great if you don't want your browsing history saved, but it doesn't hide you from your internet provider, the websites you visit, or the FBI. So yeah, not exactly invisible. Myth number 3, only shady websites give you viruses. Ha ha ha, I wish. But viruses can sneak into legit websites too. It's like finding a snake in your bathroom. You didn't invite it, but there it is. And that brings us to one of the most important parts of PC security, backups. You can have the best antivirus, the strongest passwords, and the most up-to-date software. But if you don't have backups, you're still vulnerable to losing everything. Whether it's due to ransomware, a virus, or just plain hardware failure, having a reliable backup is your last line of defense. Here's a quick rundown of a solid backup strategy. Use an external hard drive for local backups. Pair that with a cloud backup service like iDrive, CrashPlan, or Backblaze for offsite protection. Set everything to backup automatically so you don't have to think about it. That way, even if the worst happens, you can restore your files and get back to business without losing sleep or your precious data. Backups, Jeremy. you're really hammering this point home. Yes, yes, I am, because trust me, it's that important. All right, tech warriors, that's a wrap on today's episode. We covered antivirus, firewalls, password strategies, phishing scams, ransomware, and backups. And hopefully, I've convinced you to take security seriously without scaring you too much. Remember, you don't need to be a tech genius to keep your computer safe. Just a few simple steps can make a world of difference. Thanks again for listening to the Computer Repair Academy podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and want more tips, tricks, and maybe even a few more horror stories, head over to our Computer Repair Academy YouTube channel, where we've got tutorials, breakdowns, and all the tech goodness you need to keep your computer running smoothly and securely. Until next time, stay safe out there, keep your firewalls up, your passwords strong, and remember, don't water your keyboard. This is Jeremy, signing off.
Thanks again for tuning in to the Computer Repair Academy podcast. Until next time, keep those PCs running smoothly.